This is a prayer and a reminder. All we have is now. Anak, umuwi ka na.
Worldwide this morning, growing concern over a growing health crisis.
The World Health Organization has just declared that this is a pandemic.
Hi. I can't hug you. Don't touch me.
Over the last several days, we have seen peaceful demonstrations.
Protest over police brutality continued here in Austin.
Remember when you started going to college? You came home a liberal?
Dad, please.
That's what we do to you guys in this court.
All these people that we never met and never will meet because of what had happened to them. It's just too much.
The way that our family communicates is not necessarily, it's not great.
What advice would you give for those of us that are struggling?
Deal with it.
I think the norm for our community has been to stay silent and keep to your own business.
I could definitely be doing more than I'm doing right now, and I know that others can as well.
What if someone is called from God to be an activist?
I can answer the question.
Shouting revolution, oh wow, breaking each tradition.
You don't believe in the Black Lives Matter movement?
An advocacy group reporting at least 3,800 anti-Asian hate incidents since last March.
I'm kind of conflicted. I'm like, maybe I should move home and be here with them.
I hope that this moment makes you take a step forward and a step together in the right direction.
In order for a subject to not be taboo in our community, there always has to be someone to start that conversation.
Yeah. You speak up for me when I can't speak up for myself. And I've seen you do that for other people.
I see a lot of people who just kind of cut off friends and family, and I don't think I can do that. I love my parents.
This is a symbol of our voices. If you look at your neighbors around you, you will see who stands with you, who stands for you.
At least I know that you can stand up. That's the thing I'm so happy about.
Boom, there you go. That was a trailer for Who We Become, available right now on Netflix from Array. It's your boy Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World. And as you see on the screen, I'm so excited, so delighted to have some special guests, the amazing talents behind Who We Become. I have the director, PJ Raval. I have the amazing Monica, Jenah, and Lauren in the house. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate y'all. I'm so thankful. Thank you for sharing your gifts. That's what I want to say. As a nod to the documentary that I just watched about gifts, y'all brought your gifts. Y'all brought it together to give us this, to make us feel seen. I feel so seen, and I can't wait to share this with my daughter so she can feel seen. And a lot of what y'all ladies were going through is what my daughter was sharing to me as her father, who's kind of active in community and trying to change things, as you know, what I think this documentary is about. Of us new generations of Filipinos being raised here in America and seeing some things that are not too cool and what we want to change. And so I'm so thankful for y'all for giving us this gift. Appreciate y'all's time today. Let's get it going. Because I could talk with y'all nonstop and only got 30 minutes. So let's get it cracking. PJ, tell me how this started, bringing on these amazing ladies to work with you. All I can think of as an editor, filmmaker myself, this had to be a task. I live in the DC area. I have a lot of friends that make documentaries. This is why I don't do documentaries. I'd rather do industrials and other creative stuff, because the editing process on this had to be insane. I'm sure these ladies gave you so much amazing material from seeing this documentary to put all that together. Can you tell me, how this originated for you and just, the creative process of making this beautiful documentary?
Yeah, I mean, thank you first of all, thanks for having us on the show. What an honor to be here. And just to briefly touch upon it, like editing, yes, this film in particular was, I don't want to say it was a challenge, but it was a real process to edit. And our editor, who also is Filipino, Katrina De Vera, who's an amazing Filipino young woman editor herself, is incredible, and she did an amazing job. And I think the reason she did an amazing job also was because she could relate to the material, right? She really understood these stories and where they were coming from, and how significant they were, right, for all of its nuances and complexities. But to answer your question, yeah, I have been making films for a while now. It's been a minute, and with some of the other films I had been screening, I had worked a lot with different Filipino American community organizers to screen them, and I started just kind of recognizing this, kind of not a trend, but this kind of pattern that I was seeing, where I were meeting these very, thoughtful, articulate, outspoken, passionate organizers, activists, and then learning that a lot of them had, real close loved ones who maybe held very different points of view, very different perspectives. And then also just thinking about, kind of what you said in terms of like our experiences as, those of Filipino descent growing up here in the United States, or being here in the United States, and our experiences being very unique to that and specific to our generation, which is maybe different from, say, our parents' generation or our grandparents' generation, and really kind of recognizing that differences and thinking about, what are the ways that people are kind of bridging those divides. And so that kind of became a little bit of the inspiration behind making the film. And then when I first started making it, I told this idea to our producer, who's also an amazing Filipino American woman, Cecilia R. Mejia.
Shout out to Cecilia.
Yeah, shout out to Cecilia. She's amazing. She's a real force of nature. And she introduced me to this word kapwa, which, I'm sure many people had already known this word. I had not known this word before. And for those of you, when you watch the film actually starts off with the definition of this word kapwa, which is Tagalog, or Filipino. And from my understanding, it doesn't fully translate into English. It loosely can maybe be thought of in the way that I've been interpreting it as like togetherness, or like a shared identity, or this idea of like a connection amongst those of Filipino descent. And I really just love that idea of like, whether we be separated by an ocean or a generation or, gender or whatever, there's something that still binds us all together. And I think it's just a really beautiful way to think of that. And when I thought of that, or when I learned of that word, and then thought of this idea of making a film that really kind of showed that connection and, the bridges that were being built between different people, then I thought like, okay, well then this is going to be the film. This idea of following specifically this younger than me generation that is, as they're living their lives and kind of experiencing it and kind of going through the world in this like really beautiful, outspoken, intentional, kind of way, and being able to communicate that and bring that home, right, to family, friends, community, and really kind of work on that, it resulting in this really beautiful building of kind of community and love. So for me, that was kind of the inspiration of the film. And thankfully, we have these three here who are willing to participate and be vulnerable and share their stories with us all.
I love it. I love it. All right. First off, I got to just say the spiritual name for me for this film is really Kapwa, because it starts with it. I think Who We Become is a good title for like crossover for the non-Filipinos out there, but we're going to school them once they see the Kapwa come up on the screen, right? I love it. But still, it's Kapwa. I love it. All right. So the shining stars, you wonderful ladies. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I was about to cry for a second. I cannot wait for my daughter to see this so she can connect and feel. Thank you for sharing yourselves within this, because it's really opening that door that I think we as Filipinos grew up with, that we're not supposed to show that self of us, right? We keep it, bottled up and just prey on it, right? But y'all did that. Thank you. So let me start with Lauren, since it kind of starts with you and then it goes to Monica and then Jenna, I think is the order I remember from watching it. Lauren, you got the call to become involved with this project. How did you get involved with this project, and what did this mean to you to share your story?
Yeah, so I actually knew PJ previously, because we're both filmmakers, and decided to record my graduation from UT. And so I just, did it as a little project. PJ described the word kapwa to me because I hadn't heard of it before, and thought it was a really cool experience to do because no one's ever asked me to share my life as like a Filipino person. And so I filmed going home with my graduation in the middle of a pandemic, trying to figure out what the status of the world will be. And so that's kind of the timeline that I go into, and then it eventually goes into Monica and Jenna, who kind of document their times during like the Black Lives Matter movement and Asian hate crime. And it kind of, I think PJ, does it go for a whole year? I guess it documents about a year.
Yeah, it's a little bit over a year.
Yeah. And so I was I'm still kind of like a green filmmaker. It's funny because I film, and you can see like in one scene, I just hung a loft from the chandelier because I was like, fuck it. And I see that and I'm like, why did I do that? And like clearly like filming on my phone and just with whatever. But I came to really appreciate this kind of like DIY filmmaking that I think, especially during COVID when everyone was remote, is kind of a powerful tool for people to share their voices and like make more accessible than like having crazy expensive professional film shoots that aren't reachable by most.
Wow. That's actually how my ShoPowSho was created. I'm with the Nerds Rule the World as well as the Nerds of Color, who y'all launched your trailer on. Shout out to my people over at the Knock. I love it. But yeah, this is what kind of brought me to you, but that's a whole nother story. But I think all of us got affected by this pandemic, and we put it on wax to just inspire and change. Like we felt motivated. We got, there was a word that I was thinking that it's like we all, watching this film, y'all just got motivated, or not that we weren't motivated already, but it's like activated, I think was the word, to just like really use the gift of ourselves. And that shout out to Jenna's thing that from her conversation with Rachel earlier, watching it again. I loved it. Just to use what we have. We may not have a lot of money, but we have ourselves to use and shine and spread that light. So let me throw it over to Monica, who I think was Jenna was dealing with rain. She was in her car, and then Monica is now, living at home or seeing her family again. I think was what with the next sequence I remember saying. Monica, if you could chime in and getting involved with this, and again, thank you.
Yeah, of course. So I am also a filmmaker, and that's also how I know PJ. And so I think when I got involved with this project, it was originally going to be, I was going to record myself going through the pandemic, and amidst me recording my parts, the BLM movement had stirred up real hard. And so my part kind of pivoted that way. And that was also during the time of elections. And so you see me using my filmmaking skills there as well. And that kind of came out of me trying to figure out like how I could, like what I could do, like, what resources could I offer to this movement, and to, to helping get Trump out of office, basically. And so that's me figuring out like what I wanted to use my skills for, basically. And so, yeah, a lot of it is me just figuring out that part of myself, and just figuring out like where I stand on issues as well. And yeah, a lot of figuring out like
Right.
those conversations with my parents, or me figuring out how I want to talk to them about these things, because we don't really, talk about sensitive things like that at that extent. And so, those conversations are pretty raw, because a lot of that is like the first time too that I'm having conversations like that with my parents.
Right. Wow. So thank you again. Thank you for that. Felt so seen in that. My parents live in South Carolina. Y'all are like in Texas. I know for the most part, and very Christian, very Catholic. We know about all that, and just racism. Woo! I was feeling all of that. So thank you for that. Let me toss it over to Jenah, who, with you in nursing, and then, with your conversation with Rachel, with, I guess, what you really wanted to do with what she was seeing, what you were going through, and like you were like, girl, shout out to you, because I saw like you're like Unipro or something, I think was what this organization. So like you like made like a life change in a whole nother way, right? If you can talk about being involved, and again, thank you.
No, yeah, thank you for having us. And yeah, you're right. There was a whole bunch going on with me on my end when it came to the film. I just wanted to go back to COPWA because I do have an activist background, and the way that I learned about it was through community work. And to me, it means like I am because you are. And I love that definition because it encapsulates exactly what the film is about, and in my eyes, like shows how wide of a scope COPWA can be. It's not just for your fellow countrymen. And so yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. As for how I got involved with the film and everything that's been going on with my own life, it really was through the community work. As PJ had talked about earlier, he collaborates with a lot of community organizations to screen films, and at the same time, so does Cecilia, who was shouted out earlier. And I had met Cecilia before PJ actually, and I was just asked if I had the time and was available to do a little bit of vlogging. And with everything going on, I just felt like, sure, why not? Like everything shut down, and one of my core tenets has always been radical vulnerability. And in this way, I was able to really step up into that and embody it. And as iterations of this project has gone on, I feel that I've grown in that definition and in that, value, because as the years go on, I become a different person than the person in there. And so it's so interesting seeing myself re-relate to who she is in 2020 and also see Lauren and Monica's growth as well. And it's just been an absolute pleasure and a wonderful space to open up dialogue about race, right? About politics, about, even now using this film to talk about what's going on in Gaza. So things like that, where we don't just use this as like a time capsule, but as a springboard for future things.
Let's go. I love it. Yes. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, PJ. I want to talk all the things. I'm looking at the time too, but I know I have little time. But would love to have y'all back if you're ever available, ShoPowSho, to talk about our journeys. Because I want to check in with y'all, with what y'all doing, because I think, again, this is a film, y'all, again, available on Netflix right now, where we just see these amazing women essentially become activated from everything that we've all experienced. We all know the pandemic. We can all relate. And as a Filipino, this just hits my heart, because there's very little of what our journey in life is. So again, this is amazing. And again, I thank you ladies so much for sharing of yourselves, so that we can start this next round of activation with this work. Man, now that it's out there, it's going to be on Netflix. Y'all are going to be superstars. Again, I want to have y'all back if y'all will, because y'all going to be stars. Remember your boy over here. What is it like now, talking with the people? I think this did a little bit of a festival circuit, if I'm right. Right, PJ? I see all the cam, everybody, shout out to all the people.
It did, yeah.
What has it been like interacting and talking with people and just getting that energy? Because, man, when the pandemic started, I'm an actor, filmmaker. I ran an outlet just covering pop culture. But then I was like, you know what? It's the end of days. I always wanted to do something that highlighted FilipinX and my people, and I knew people in the entertainment industry. So that's what spurred this show. Now y'all are now part of it. I think episode 123 now will be this one. So 123 episodes of just showing love to our community. I got activated, and now everybody here is activated and using their power, their gift. What has it been like sharing your gift and all of that? I know I'm talking, but that's what we do as Filipinos.
No, this is great. Yeah, I have to say, like, this idea of social change, right? Or, contributing, right, to change and movement and progress, all of these kinds of things. Like sometimes I feel guilty because I have friends who I see, they're standing in front of the Capitol and, protesting or, doing something, leading all these amazing things. And, really shout out to these people who really are doing that. But then sometimes I have to remind myself, well, wait, I'm doing it in my way, and my way is going to be storytelling, making a film, using my skills as a filmmaker, as a storyteller to do that. And I think here we have an example of, 3 different people who are doing that as well. And whether that be on social media, whether that be through conversations with their family, whether that be making a film, through poetry. I think all of us are kind of doing these similar things. And I think it's really important to understand how any kind of movement, any kind of social change really does involve the arts. It involves, creators such as ourselves. There's room for that. But what I also want to mention was, when I started making this film, I was really thinking a lot about the idea of the experience of those of Filipino descent, living here in the United States. And so doing the film festival circuit, it was amazing to screen the film actually in the Philippines. And when we screened it in the Philippines, I think what was so great about it is kind of going back to the word kapwa and thinking about our experience here. I think for that screening, a lot of people in the audience, they were like, oh, this is what your experience is like, being Filipino American or being part of the Filipino diaspora, right? And all of a sudden that understanding of like, oh, the togetherness, the unbreakable bond, the community, the support, it really extends to being allies with the Black community, standing in solidarity with them as well, and so I think what was great about that was seeing the reaction of understanding kind of our experience here, being part of different minority groups, marginalized groups, all still moving towards, equal rights for all. That I think there was an understanding suddenly of like, oh, wait, you are really thinking about allyship and solidarity, as a generation of Filipino and Filipino Americans, right? So I think that was something that was really nice to see. And it made me realize like, oh, wait, this film, then not only does it become a time capsule, it also becomes a way for maybe Filipinos elsewhere to understand specifically our experience here and how we do connect somehow.
Totally. That's one of the things I loved about this film. Again, I'm in the DC area. I grew up in South Carolina. I was a Navy kid, so I was raised all over the world. But like, there's these pockets of where our experience is different. Like, I envy like Bay Area Filipinos, like, because they have like whole communities, there's organizations, and then also I heard Houston, Texas has like, y'all are Texans on here too. I know 2 of y'all, right? And there's like a whole community vibe there. And here in DC, I think we're a little bit more, we kind of keep things to ourselves. And in Boston, so it's like just this whole documentary was amazing because I'm seeing like that Filipino perspective, which is just interesting, but very capo. I could relate to it in different ways. And so ladies, with the experience of this film touring the festival circuit as well, I don't know if y'all joined PJ on some of that or making that trip to the Philippines, which is something was a goal of mine and still is a goal of mine. I've never been to our home country. What has that been like, experiencing this film with others? And whoever wants to go, Lauren, Monica, Jenna.
I will say it was very jarring at first. Sorry, I'm in a boba shop right now. I couldn't make it home in time. But it was really interesting because there was a lot of Filipinos who, like, not old, but like older, than us who are like, man, I really wish that the conversations you had with your families, like I could have that with my parents. Like it feels too late for me. And it's just like very emotional. But then also seeing other people from different communities. So from like the Latinx community or the Black and Brown community also coming and be like, I experienced this as well. Like this was my childhood. This is exactly the interaction between my parents. And so it kind of put into perspective, like at first, I saw the film as like, okay, Kapwa, identifying with other Filipinos, but then like PJ said, it goes more like past that, and it's like solidarity across generations, across communities, kind of realizing, oh, we're all fighting the same battle, even though we all like have different stories, different backgrounds. But it's like once we realize that and we can unite with that, it's like we're even more powerful.
Definitely we are. Monica, would you like to share any words with your experience, right now with the talking to people about the film?
Yeah, I mean, to add to that, I was surprised because I think in the making of the film, I was very, maybe focused on the story I was sharing, and I wasn't really thinking about like how universal it would be. And so going to the screenings is what made me realize like how, I don't know, how many people related to what we were going through, and how important maybe that it was for somebody to see like what they're going through on screen, see it represented in media. And it just made me realize more like how important what we were doing is. And then in addition to that, when it was screened in the Philippines, PJ actually met my cousins there. And I've had this conversation with them before, but there's a lot of, arguments online about Filipino versus Philam. And I've had those conversations with my cousins as well. And they also said to me that it made them realize and understand better, that we have a lot of similarities and differences, but we're all, like Lauren said, fighting very similar fights and going through struggles of our own.
Right. Real talk. I have the same feelings about Duarte. We won't even go there. That's a whole nother subject. Jenah, you girl, if you can tell me again, interacting with people, the festivals and everything right now.
Yeah, it's similar to Lauren and Monica and what they were saying. It was just wonderful to see communities, and like what you said, Kuya P, that these pockets of communities have their own cultures. And so I was really glad for them to see how ours is, right? I've been to conferences and to events that were in other states, Filipino, Asian American ones, and they would ask me straight up if I ride a horse every day, or like they'd be surprised that there are Filipinos or Asians in Texas. And it's like, yeah, we're here. And no, do you see me riding a horse? No. And so like that's just one of the things that, like, some of the things that I'd be asked and things like that. So I'm glad that this film kind of breaks those stereotypes also, right? Not just of Filipinos, Filipino Americans, but of Texans. I like joking that I was a Texan first before I was an American. And my family immigrated to America. We were in a little border town. And so that little border town is the essence of Texas to me. And so I've carried that with me as I've grown older and done everything. And with that, with the screenings themselves, like, that was the first time I met Lauren and Monica, actually. So it was really nice, not feeling so isolated, I guess, in the experience of being a subject in the film. And I also just wanted to say that, like, in my journey of leaving nursing, going into activism, going into spoken word work, that the conversations Monica had with her parents were similar. The conversations that Lauren had with their parents were similar to what I've had to also endure, because, poetry is a way to express my own processing, and it's not always so pretty, and it's not always about having been on the other side. There's things that we're still going through, and with that, like different subject areas like mental health, like politics especially, and having my parents try to understand that, like, this film really shows that they have grown over the years and that they're willing to hear and willing to speak.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love it. Love it. Love it. I just want to again, thank you. Just having watched the documentary, that you are so all amazing in just seeing that strength and that bravery to ask those questions that we just don't do. And y'all just like, fuck this, I'm gonna do it. Like, I gotta be me. I gotta find my soul, find my light. And y'all did it. Oh man, I wish I had more time. Y'all are so amazing. Again, thank you for this and sharing of yourselves. I can't wait for the rest of the world. Y'all got to see it right now on Netflix from Array, Who We Become, aka Kapwa. I love it. I have so many more questions. I hope I can chat with y'all again. I'm gonna hit y'all up on the DM, the socials. I'm gonna follow all y'all because we're running out of time. But real quick snapshot. This is this snapshot of where you are now or were. Last words of like message to the people that you want to say, like who you've become and where you want to go next. Let me go back to Lauren, and then we'll go to Monica and Jenna, and then close it out with PJ.
Wait, you said what I'm doing right now?
Where you at now with post Who We Become, and where you plan to go in the future, just any future outlook of what this project spoke to you and where you're gonna go with yourself next, maybe. Sure. I guess I have so many questions, but I'm just gonna wrap it into that a little bit. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So right now I'm a filmmaker in Austin, co-producing, co-directing this documentary about Austin's queer nightlife scene, also trying to do a lot more work in the music video documentary sphere that centers BIPOC queer voices, the focus on that. So as long as I can pay rent and do that, that's what I'm going to do. Have had a lot of talks with my parents since then in terms of like who I was back then in Kapwa. I think that has opened the door a lot for us to rebuild our relationships and just get to know each other a lot more.
Love it. Monica.
Yeah, now, well, this actually, like, literally right now, like, this weekend has been crazy because of this film release, but also I'm directing a music video on Sunday, and so I'm doing all of that at the same time. So there's that. But yeah, I'm also a filmmaker here in Austin, and I feel like I have changed a lot since the film came out. It's actually kind of weird to see myself like that, because that is a different person. I do still feel like I am very, like my views are still very strong. I feel like I show them differently now, and I'm still like figuring it out, and I'm still like learning how to use my skills to talk about the things that I think are important, but it's definitely evolving.
Love it. Thank you, Monica. Salamat. Jenna.
Ooh, let's see. What I'm doing now is I'm a co-owner of a small business, Lualo Studio. We are a creative studio that centers around empowering small businesses and nonprofits that do impact work. And so currently one of our clients is Daya organization. We're making videos for them in terms of what they do in the community, which is help domestic violence survivors who are in the South Asian community. And so with that, we have a lot of stuff in the works. As for who I was in 2020, there's a lot that's been going on in the background of that. But I think that it has also been a lot of, re-meeting that person and who she was and who I want to be. And so, yeah, that's really pretty much it. And as for this particular opening weekend, I actually will have a watch party with my family friends. And these are family friends who have known me since like my family's immigrated here. So it is going to be a really great moment of showing them who I am.
Yes, let's go. I love it. So beautiful. PJ, close us out, my brother. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I mean, where I am right now is with just finding myself really thankful and grateful for, all these opportunities to capture stories, present them to the world, and be part of that, this growing movement, right, of Filipino creators and storytellers. And if anything, I hope, 5 years from now, just in the future, that I'm still making films and I'm still using creativity and art to keep making work and contribute that way. And so what I would love to leave with is just letting anyone, who's listening know that it's important for all of us to also be creators and use art and use our creative expressions to contribute as well. Because I think part of our backgrounds are also feeling all these exterior pressures to be certain types of people and be certain types of professions. And that is something that I also have seen across the board in terms of definitely children of immigrants, people growing up in the diaspora. There's always this concept of art and creativity maybe gets lost as it's in an importance. And I think here's a great example of all of us, right, on this show right now, is we're all using creativity in some way, and it's important. So I hope if anything, people watch this film, they feel inspired, to have conversations, to use their platforms, but also to just use creativity, right, and the idea of embracing storytelling and what that can be as a tool as well.
So beautiful. Well said, PJ. Thank you so much. Salamat. Let's go, y'all. I'm so excited. Thank you all again for your time. As you continue on your journeys, I hope you can come back so I can give you your flowers and celebrate you for what you're doing for us and our people and our community. This means so much. And I just, again, thank you. Everybody, check out Who We Become, streaming right now on Netflix. My love to PJ, Lauren, Jenna, Monica. Y'all are the best. Mahal kita. Salamat, y'all. Another ShoPowSho. Your boy Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World. There you go, y'all.
Thanks, Kuya P.
Are recording. All right, here we go in a 1, 2, 3.